Very good morning. Today we'll continue with our discussion, and so far we have discussed many things about methods as well as constructors. And just first, I just wanted to show you about yesterday problem. Just I'll share the screen. Now, I think the screen is visible or not? Just type yes. Okay. Now, see, we defined one class. Is it not class inside that main method like that? My question was like, first you define one variable inside a class. So you do that in shopping like that. And uh, our Nayakama's husband provided the amount through constructor. That's what I defined. Okay, so you have to write the constructor which takes particular value, and you are initializing that to shopping. Okay. See this, how her husband sends the money to constructor. That's what I define. Okay, always if any such type of questions, you have to read the statement correctly. Okay, each statement, what it is mentioned, it will tell the information. Okay, so you defined one variable inside a class, and after that, using the method, you are altering that, is it not? So let us consider one method we'll write. Don't worry about return type and all. Just offer, which is a method. Now, what actually offer offer is a method. Okay. Mm, so he will invoke. See, I used the word invoke offer method to help his wife. Okay. So ob dot offer just invokes that method. That's all. He just invokes that method without offer. So what happens in offer? Offer, she will get 1,000 more for shopping. Okay. See this, before offer, just I'll display the value, means amount with our item, that is ob dot k. You know, you can invoke object, sorry, not yet, shopping. Is it not? See, if I display, you'll get 1,000. Is it not? Because shopping, she's having only 1,000. Now, offer, after offer. Once again, we'll display and we'll see how much he actually spent for shopping. See, meanwhile, in offer, what I'll do is I will I will just create one more constructor where for A I'll add 1,000 more. This is for shopping. I added 1,000 more. because shopping is accessible to this because it is defined here itself, is it not? So you can access that and add 1000 to that. Okay. So shopping is now added with 1000. So what happens? It will call that particular constructor and it will add that to the value. Now, after that, after creating that, we will return this object. Okay, we will return this object. And return type should be of RR, and we will write return OB. We will return that object. So as you know, we'll catch this to RR type one object. Now OB1 dot shopping. See the value, it's 2000. See how this takes place. You invoke the offer method. So inside offer method, okay, just I added 1000. Okay, and after that, I am returning that object. Okay, so it should be available to a husband, is it not? So where actually it is invoked, there itself. Okay, I should return the object, okay, and using that object and displaying the same variable. I wanted to know what actually residing in shopping. Okay, so that's how actually this particular process is indicated. Just see this. If I write the OB here, if once again I am invoking the same method, if you write this, see what happens. The value of that is to previous one itself. Instead of this, if I change this to OB1, okay, because OB contains 1000, now OB1 contains 2000. For that itself, if you modify, it becomes 3000. Okay. So that's how, like instead of writing separate OB, you can experiment with OB itself. That's what my question was. Like instead of separately, here itself you can invoke B is equal to OB that offer, you are returning to that itself, and now if you access that, okay, you'll get modified value. Okay. So this is what how the concept works. Okay, see this variable also you can pass inside the constructor, but it should be accessible to that. You declared one variable and you uh, through constructor you pass the value that should be assigned. Okay, that should be assigned to the variable which is instance variable. Local information you are initializing, and after that you are invoking a method of okay, where she got additional 1000. Okay, and that method object should be returned that you are assigning to that object itself. Now, if you display that ob.shopping, it is that modified value. Okay, so that's what about how this particular object you can return and how that will modify. Okay, very important concept actually it is. You please go through that, how you can do the experiments with objects. Okay, for that purpose, this example, even for the class also, it is important. Okay, now we'll proceed further to understand very important concept of Java, that is about access modifiers. Even though in detail we will study this, because before that, just I wanted to show you these are the things what we studied. Is it visible? The PPT is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. See this, we learned so far about the constructors and various examples on that, garbage collector and finalize method. Is it not? Along with that, we also written one sample program on stack, because how stack works on the basis of push and pop method we have written, and we concluded stack is somewhat prone to attack. Like anybody can invoke the method push or pop from outside and they may manipulate the code. Like that we concluded, is it not? And then we started learning overloading and overloading of methods, overloading on constructors, like that. These are the things what we studied. Moving further, the next information, that is introducing access control. Very important property of Java. Even many object programming languages adopt this particular facility, but Java is special. Anyway, you will come to know after some particular classes are over what is the importance of access control in Java. Because anyway, as it come in between our discussion, according to your syllabus, just I am taking this particular heading, but in detail we have to study once we learn inheritance. Okay, before that there is no use actually discussing this. But anyway, as a part of the syllabus, just uh, as it is mentioned here itself, with few access control, not all. Okay, but anyway, we'll discuss that. Introducing access control. You know, like so far, purposefully, I avoided to discuss wherever public has come. Is it not only public? So far, you have observed. Okay, Java is with three types of access control. You please observe the first word, it is small letter. Okay, public, static, public, private, and protected. Three keywords to control the access, that is public, private, and protected. Okay, public, private, and protected are three types of access control. Now, what is the use of this? What is the purpose of access control? Because we discussed very important property of Java, that is encapsulation. What is encapsulation? I told that it should be with uh, like any particular class what you mentioned. Okay, it looks like you're writing a class, and after that the name of the class and open flower bracket, close flower bracket. So what is inside this? If anybody wanted to be inside that, means what he will do, is it not? So that's what encapsulation. Now, uh, actually, the purpose of this particular encapsulation is control. Okay, control others to peep into this particular block. Okay, so this is a sort of sort of black box. Okay, black box means what is inside this black, nobody should know. Okay, it is called the black box. Okay, it is black box. Nobody should know what it is. Their just interest is, okay, to get the information from this black. Why it is called black box means internal code is not disclosed. Okay. They will ask to get the things and they will get the things. That's all. It is completely enclosed. Okay, so that is what the purpose. It is just allowing access to data only through a well-defined set of methods. That is what the word. Okay, well-defined set of methods. You can prevent the misuse of the data. That is what the purpose. But inner working is actually implemented, but it makes a black box because inner working is not open to tampering. Okay, that particular word is not open to tampering, not open to tampering, not open to tampering. That means what you define this, okay, that is completely encapsulated and it will not allow, it will make the control. That's all. I can't tell it's not allow. For some particular keywords, it will allow, some it will not allow, like that. Okay. So entire control of this particular concept is encapsulation. See, as you defined, you already written the test, object-oriented principle, in that encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. Is it not? Now see how you can elaborate your discussion. You can bring overloading in polymorphism when, like first time you are writing, that means you may not get much information to write. But see now, overloading you can bring in polymorphism, like that access specifiers you can bring in encapsulation. You can specify public, private, protected, all the keywords which is available in languages to encapsulate. Okay, so that you can do. That's what I told. As the progress, as more you are learning in the language, it is easy for you to represent the answers. Okay. Anyway, see, we'll move to first keyword, that is public. Public, public means what? The first word what we have come across is public, static, void, main, with arguments of string type array. Is it not? This you know, it is array of string type. Main is a keyword, void is a return type. So far, I put this as a pending. I not disclosed much information about static. Okay, as a definition, we defined long back. Okay, now first keyword, that is public. Public means what? Public means it is open to everybody. That is what the meaning. It is open to everybody. Anybody can access from anywhere outside. That's why it is called public. Anybody, anybody. That's what the particular word you should remember. Anybody from anywhere, anywhere. There is no restriction, no restriction. If you want your variable to not have any restriction, means you should declare that as public. One thing. Next, see why I declared main as a public. Not I, in the language it is defined. Main means it should have public. Okay. If you not made this as a public, it will give an error. You can make it private, you can make it protected. Okay, such experiments you can observe. Okay, why main is public? See, please remember in Java, main resides inside a class. Is it not? Outside the class, like C++, we are not writing main. Okay, everything should be in main. That's why Java is purely object-oriented language. C++ is impure. Okay, it is not purely object-oriented language. Okay, now class A which contains some main method, is it not? And we declared this as public. That's why, because you know that to execute this program is executed by invoking the main method from outside, is it not? Compiling, okay. But for execution, main is the first thread which will start execution. Okay, because see, you can write the program, but writing the program is different, and after that, executing that is totally different. Is it not? Any particular, see, just I'll write one particular instance. See this, we are with one class A, okay, and I'll write another class B. That's all. I have not written any method. Okay, this method contains M1, this class contains another M2, like that. It's the return type always. Method means return type. This is perfectly valid Java program, but it is not containing any main method. Definitely it will compile. But during execution time, you'll get the error main not found. Because execution takes place by interpreter invoking a class. Okay, it will find the class. You know, once again, I'll just recall Java extension program. When you're compiling, it is converted into dot class files, and Java interpreter will interpret this dot class file and gives the output. Is it not? So JVM will search for main. Where actually JVM residing? JVM is residing outside the class. Is it not? JVM is residing outside the class, and we want main method should be available to that. Okay, anything to be available outside the class, okay, you have to declare that as public. That's why main method is public. It is invoking from outside the class. When you are invoking that from outside the class, it should have the keyword public. Okay, I think it's clear. Okay, because why main method is public? Because we are invoking that from outside the class. You just observe all the particular where you are executing the program, main should be there, and main should have the keyword public because it is invoked from outside the class. One thing is clear, public means it is access to everybody and even outside the class. Now, just I'll show you one particular example how this particular variables will interact. We'll just create one new particular class for our example. Let's consider PP. Always used to give such names. See, by default, see, today by default, public came to the class. Okay, so one thing is clear, you can specify access specifier to the class, to the variable, to the method. Okay, that is very important. Okay, please remember, you can give these access specifiers to the class, to the variables, to methods. Okay, you can specify public class, public with variables, public with methods. Okay, and even interfaces, all these things are there that we'll discuss later. As our knowledge, so far what we learn with respect to that, okay, you can specify these access specifiers to this particular class or variables. Anyway, we'll declare one variable as public int a, and this when you are specifying that we'll write, okay, I'll make it pp1, and outside the class pp, there I'll write public static void main, just will print that system.out.print. See how to access pp1. I have to create object of type pp1. To invoke, and I can write ob.a. It will allow. It will allow. It is giving error. See, public type must be defined in its own file. See, and that is another interesting thing. Anyway, just now I'll remove this public. That error has gone. Okay. See this. If I write public here, whether it will give the same. See, now it is not giving. But if I write public here, it is telling it is an error. Why it is? See? But if you write to pp, it is not giving. See, just read that error. Don't ignore any error. You have to read and understand. Public type ppn must be defined in its own file. See, when you are making any class as public, it should define in the same file. Okay. If the file name is pp1, it will accept. But I changed that to pp1, so it is not allowing me to make it public. Okay. So anyway, that detail I'll tell you later when we are discussing packages. See, anyway, here just to access this variable which is defined as public, okay, is it possible to call that from outside the class? That's what my discussion here. Let us consider, we'll initialize that variable as Avinash. Okay, anyway, here ob.a, if you print this, see, you can print that. Okay, let us consider, I'll declare one variable as private. Now, is it possible to access that using that object? See, here itself error. It is telling that no, it is not visible, because when public is visible to everybody, private is not visible outside the class. See, B is private, which is not available outside the class. Then how to handle such particular cases? Okay. In such cases, what you have to do is you have to write one particular method. Okay. Let us consider some set. Set the value or get the value, like that. Anyway, it is initialized. We will try with some method. It is your own method. Okay. It is not built-in method. One method. Okay. Let us create one method which will return some value, and that value is return b. See this? I am returning b. Okay. Now ob.get, here itself I will write out. Now whether you will get 9, that we'll see. 9. See this. This is how private. Private means it will not allow. You have to do some other alternative to that. You have to write one method which will make this particular return type. Because it will not allow you to modify this particular code. Let us consider if you are not having any value to b, and if you initialize ob.b, no, it will not allow. It will tell that this particular variable is not accessible through object. Then what you have to do? You have to write some particular method like set. Here you are passing the value what you expected. Then using the method as you written in the previous, set in some a, and you are assigning a1 will give because no conflict. Yeah, I already defined this. This is what you have to do. Everything is where actually it is defined. Okay, because it is defined there itself, and it will not allow to use that outside the class. So that's what about this particular access specifiers, and that is about how this particular public works and private works. Public, outside the class, it is possible to access. Private means it is restricted. It is only inside the class. That's what perfect encapsulation. It will not allow anybody to use that variable. See, one question I put that is like the program what we learned that is stack. I'll go to that. I'll go to the program that is stack. See this program is what we did earlier. Class stack which initializes for 5 elements and top, and we initialize top is equal to -1, and we return push method and pop method to fetch the values. Is it not? This is what we did in the last before that class, and we also concluded that this is not efficient method because anybody can modify, anybody can pass the value and all information. Is it not? Now you can limit this by specifying this particular array as private. Okay. And I'll make this top as private. Private. Okay. By making this top as private, it is not possible for the outsiders to invoke these particular methods. Okay. So that is what the advantage when you are defining this. Okay, it is completely private. You can create the object, but it is not possible to access these particular elements directly because it is defined as a private inside the stack. Okay, so it will not allow you to use that. You can just create the class and you can push the element and you can pop the element and you can fetch the value, but it will not allow to alter this array because it is private. Okay. So private means it is not possible to access from outside, and public means I am repeatedly telling this very important property, and you can observe. Okay, we'll put that as a question mark, and that we'll discuss somewhere in future. See, even okay, you return private, public. If you not write anything, then what happens? See, I'm not writing public. I am not writing private. Okay. Then what actually it is? Just I'll display that value ob.a. What actually? Whether it will be accessible? That's what we wanted to see. Anyway, no error means definitely it will work. Is it not? No, it's working. Then if you not specify, public means okay, you understood, private means you understood. If you're not defining, what is the meaning of that? Okay, you'll put that as a question mark. Anyway, for time being, let us assume that it works like a public. Okay? It works like a public, but it's not public. Okay. If you not specify anything, by default, it is private in C++. Okay. By default, it's a private. If you not specify anything, it is considered as a private in C++. But in Java, if you not specify anything, means what? Is it public? I'll put the question mark for this question. Anyway, we'll give full picture to that in after 2-3 classes. For time being, you just um, believe it works like a public. Okay, it works like a public, not public. Then what it is, that we'll discuss in next class. Have a good day. Bye. Thank you. You can log out.